Everybody, this is the Advanced Algebra Trig Pre-Calc video on section 2.5. This is the second video, and actually there is going to be only one part of this one. So we're just going to kind of dive right into things. There's going to be a couple of different sections in this video, but the first thing we're going to do is we're going to find all the zeros and rewrite this as a product of linear factors. Given 2/3 is a zero. All right, so for 2/3 to be a zero, you guys, there's a couple things going on with this. Well, first I probably should give you the function. F of x equals 3x cubed minus 11x squared minus 24x plus 20. Now, since 2/3 is a zero, usually what we would say, like a lot of kids would say, oh, it's x minus 2/3. Well, that's not what we would do. We would say we had to subtract 2, divide by 3, right? So wouldn't that be like subtract 2 and then divide it by 3, right? So that makes sense. Sorry. So here we'd have to add 2, my bad. So we would have to add 2 and divide by 3, so that has to be minus 2 times 3 because it's the inverse. Really, if you think about it, you're going to add 2, divide by 3, you get that. One thing you can do to this form, because I think that's what we feel comfortable with, is if you would multiply each of these by 3, that becomes 3x and then minus 2. So that's my first factor. Now, the thing is, in order for me to use synthetic division, I need the zeros, so I am going to use 2/3 as my factor. All right, so across the top, we're going to have a 3, a negative 11, a negative 24, and a 20. All right, here we go. Drop the 3. Okay, 2/3 times 3. 2 times 3 is 6. 6 divided by 3 is going to give me 2. Add down negative 9. Negative 9 times 2/3. Negative 9 times 2 is negative 18 divided by 3. Negative 18 divided by 3 is going to give me a negative 6. Add down negative 30. Negative 30 times 2/3. Negative 30 times 2 is negative 60. Negative 60 divided by 3 is negative 20. Add down that 0, which is awesome. We are left with remainder constant x squared. 3x squared minus 9x minus 30, and that equals 0. Now, I'm going to see if I can factor this down again. I can take out a 3. So, I'm going to have an x squared minus a 3x. What, minus 10 equals 0? Let's see if I can factor that down. That's going to be an x and an x. Factors of 10 that add or subtract to 3 are 5 and 2. Negative 5 plus 2, drop that 3. All right, so my linear factorization, you guys, is going to be this one, because that gave me that 0. I'm going to throw a 3 out there because I need that stretch. It's like a vertical stretch of 3. X plus 2, and then an x minus 5. And those are all of my factors. Therefore, my x-intercepts are that 2/3. Here would be negative 2, and that would be positive 5. All right, so that's just a little review of some of the things that we have been doing. Okay, next thing. Okay, if I give you a 0, you should be able to find all the zeros. So let's say if z equals 1 minus 2i is a 0 for, here we go, I'm going to call this g of x equals 4x to the 4th plus 17x squared plus 14x plus 65, we're going to find all the zeros. We're going to find them all. Now, it's a 4th degree polynomial because it's an x to the 4th, so we're definitely going to find 4 zeros, which is good. I gave you 1. Now, you guys remember that all imaginaries and roots, they have a partner. They're never single, okay? So there's one at minus 2i. There's one at plus 2i, because this would have been 1 plus or minus 2i. So I know so far my zeros are x equals 1 minus 2i. I gave you that one. And then 1 plus 2i. Now I'm going to use those two to find the last two. Now I want to find the polynomial that gives us this, okay? Because once I find the polynomial that gives me this, that should be a factor of the big guy. Then I'm going to divide that out. So here we go. This is what I'm going to do. It's like this fun thing we did in CPM. This is what you'd end up with. Now, you can go ahead and put those as factors and go through and multiply through, but I'm going to tell you it is horrible. I think this is way easier. So I'm going to go backwards and figure out what the polynomial was. All right, so here we go. I'm going to start by subtracting 1. So I'm going to x minus 1 equals, okay, this is going to be plus or minus 2i. All right, now, once the I is by itself, I can change i's into numbers by squaring them. So I'm going to square this side, which means I have to square that side. So the left side is going to be an x minus 1 times another x minus 1. And that's going to equal, okay, plus or minus, that doesn't matter, because when you square it, it's just positive. 2 squared is 4, and that'd be an I squared. All right? So let's go through here. This is going to be an x squared minus an x plus a 1. That equals, okay, guys, remember negative 1 squared is, or I squared is negative 1. 4 times negative 1 is negative 4. So here we go. We're going to have an x squared. This is going to be minus a 2x plus 1, and that equals negative 4. And we're going to add 4 to both sides. So this part of the polynomial is x squared minus 2x plus 5, and that equals 0. All right, now, that is the one factor that goes in here. I want to divide it out so I can see what is left over. All right, so we're going to take that x squared minus 2x plus 5, and I'm going to divide this out of the 4x to the 4th plus the 17x squared. Oop, here's the thing. I am missing a cube. It's been a while since we did one of these. 0x cubed plus 17x squared plus 14x plus 65. All right, there we go. So I do have to have that place setter of a 0. All right, so here we go. What do I multiply an x squared by to make it 4x to the 4th? That'd be a 4x squared. Then we're going to take this and multiply it straight through. 4x squared times x squared is a 4x to the 4th. 4x squared times a negative 2 is a negative 8x cubed. 4x squared times 5 is going to give me a plus 20x squared. Okay, subtracting means we are going to add the opposite. So the x to the 4ths are gone. 0x cubed plus 8x cubed is 8x cubed. 17x squared minus 20x squared, that's minus 3x squared. And I'm going to drop the plus 14x. Next, what do I multiply an x squared by to make it 8x cubed? Let's multiply it by 8x, right? 8x times x squared is 8x cubed. 8x times a negative 2x is negative 16x squared. And an 8x times a 5 is a 40x. Again, subtracting means I'm going to add the opposite. All right, 8x cubed minus 8x cubed, that's 0. Negative 3 plus 16 squared, what is that going to be? 13x squared? And 14x minus 40, oh, it's been a day. Let me tell you guys, it has been a day. 14 minus 40 is going to give me a grand total of negative 26x. And drop the 65. What do I multiply x squared by to make it 13x squared? Let's add 13. 13 times x squared is 13x squared. 13 times negative 2x is negative 26x. I'm liking it so far. 13 times 5 is 65. Again, subtracting means I'm going to add the opposite. This is gone. Negative 26 plus 26, that's gone. 65 minus 65, that's gone. I am left with 4x squared plus 8x plus 13. That is where I'm going to get my last two, you guys. Right there. I'm going to set that equals 0. Now, a couple ways you can do this. You can use the formula if you want. You can't factor. Sorry, not going to work. But I can complete the square. I'm going to complete the square. Subtract 13. So I'm going to have 4x squared plus 8x. I'm going to leave a little break there that equals negative 13. Factor out the 4. Remember, I want this to be something times something, which is something squared. So x squared is x and x. The only two numbers that are the same that give me 2 would be plus 1. So what I do is 1 times 1 is, I'm going to add 1. Here's the thing, guys. I did not add 1. I added 4. Therefore, I have to add 4 over here because we're going to balance our equation. We're going to have 4 times an x plus 1 squared equals negative 13 plus 4 is negative 9. Divided by 4. We're going to have x plus 1 squared equals negative 9/4. And then we're going to take the square root. Ooh, this looks like fun. X plus 1 is going to equal plus or minus. The square root of 4 is 2. The square root of a negative 9. The negative's out as an I. Square root of 9 is 3. That's 3i. I know I'm getting kind of crunched here, so I'm going to just bring this over here. X plus 1 equals plus or minus 3i over 2. We're going to subtract 1 from both of these, and x is going to equal negative 1 plus or minus 3i over 2. And the 2 is only over the 3i. So my other zeros here are negative 1 plus 3i over 2 and negative 1 minus 3i over 2. And that further illustrates that those imaginaries, they need a partner. You can't just leave those guys alone. They are never single. All right? So, here we go. This is my last one. Oh, I thought this video was going to be a little longer, but not so much. Last one of the day. Rewrite as a product of linear factors. So that means I have to have x times something and x times something else. So here we go. Let's call this j of x equals 3x to the fourth minus 7x cubed plus 17x squared minus 35x plus 10. All right, guys. So let's see here. Let's get this out. We need to figure out what this is going to be. I need to find some zeros. 3x to the fourth minus 7x to the third plus 17x squared minus 35x plus 10. All right, hoping I can find two of them that are real. Looks like I have x equals 2. Oh, cross my fingers, I can find another one. Whoop! 10 looks kind of big. Ooh, 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 ooh. Nope, not so much. So let's see what happens here. All right, so far I only have one. Let's just see what happens with that one. Because I do have a couple here, and I could probably find some other ones. But this looks like it's my 2. So let's see here. I know that this is coming from a factor of an x minus 2, and then I need 3 more factors, right? Okay, here we go. 2 is going to go in the box. We're going to have across the top 3, negative 7, 17, negative 35, and 10. Okay? Because whenever we do synthetic division on this, I have a 4th degree polynomial. 4th degree. 3, 2, 1, nothing. Here we go, drop the 3. Since this is 0, we should have a 0 right here. 2 times 3 is 6, add down negative 1. Negative 1 times 2 is negative 2, add down 15. 15 times 2 is 30, add down negative 5. 2 times negative 5 is negative 10, add down 0. Yep, I got 3x cubed minus an x squared plus a 15x minus 5. Because it goes remainder, constant, x squared, x cubed. I'm feeling like I might have gotten lucky here, you guys. I don't think I have to use my calculator to find that guy. Sorry, that guy, because there are 2. There's another real one, and we're going to get it through factoring. Let's group these guys together. GCF for the first group, and I need a 3x minus 1 from the second group. If I take out a positive 5, that works. That's 15x minus 5. So in each group, I can take out a 3x minus 1, and then I get an x squared plus 5. Here's my next linear factor, 3x minus 1, which means I get a 0 of 1/3. Now, x squared plus 5. I can't solve that other than, I can't factor it, but I can solve it. Let's subtract 5. So x squared equals negative 5. Take the square root. X is going to equal plus or minus because there's my 2. The negative is out as an I. I have a square root of 5. Feeling pretty good about that. Now, here we go. If I want to write this as a product, didn't I, like with the 2, I just said x minus 2. So I would say x minus, what? I times the square root of 5. And then x minus negative I times the square root of 5. Now, minus and negative should be plus. So this is going to be x plus I times the square root of 5. So my linear factorization here, you guys, would be all of those that I have circled. Which means my last 2 zeros would be I times the square root of 5 and negative I times the square root of 5. And there it is. And looking at what I have here, I have nothing left for you guys. So that's just the end of video number 2. Just kind of keeping up with 2-5 has to do with imaginaries. Lots of stuff with imaginaries. Good luck.